Welcome back to Pokémon Yellow. We've just finished up with Team Rocket yet again, and now we're gonna fly over back to Lavender Town. We've been here before already, but now we're gonna actually do some plot things here. Now, as for Lavender Town, it's described as a small town covered in a beautiful hue of purple, but that feels a little bit misleading. There's a lot of background here, a lot of lore going on. Some of it's quite dark. In particular, the darkest bit of background here is that apparently Team Rocket have killed a Marowak here and left its orphaned Cubone behind. Which, yeah. Do any of the other evil teams have a body count?
Not that we know of. They never suggest such a thing. I mean, there have been times in other games where it is heavily suggested that someone or a Pokemon has been killed by someone or a Pokemon. Like in Black and White, there's a bridge that you cross over in the end game, and there's a girl standing there on the bridge. You go over to her, she disappears. And then you go down this lift and there's a woman stood at the bottom and she's like, there used to be a girl who was here who loved the bridge. She had an Abra, and they're all just like, oh right, she's probably just used teleport. In the next game, you find her house. It's abandoned, and her ghost, it's actually her ghost, and it's appearing all over the house. And she's just sort of reciting the event that happened. Her family and her were killed by a Darkrai.
Huh.
And she had a lunar feather from Cresselia, just that she didn't have it on her at the time. It was somewhere in the house, and unfortunately her and her family were murdered due to this fact.
Oh, that got dark.
Yeah, and when you go through the house and you go through all the rooms, every time you come out of the rooms, all of the furniture and everything's been moved around. Change it so you're going through different sections all the time, and then eventually you find the Lunar Wing and she appears before you. She's just like, please return back to the Pokemon on the bridge, as I couldn't.
So it's interesting you say that about, I guess there's a different theories of ghosts and that. You get the poltergeist kind of thing, which would explain moving furniture and that, but then there's the conflicting theory of ghosts just sticking to what they were familiar with from when they were alive, don't you? You get these people who claim they've seen ghosts passing through stairways and that because that's where there used to be something. And yeah, there are all these different sort of theories and that. They're not real.
Yeah. Back to Pokemon, there's also the ghosts in the Maison in Diamond and Pearl.
Oh yeah, there isn't there,
There's the butler that's across the dining table, and then if you go into one of the rooms, because you end up seeing all the other rooms when you go into one, there's a girl who ends up exiting one of the other rooms. And you never see her again. Yeah,
because that's where you get the Rotom, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hiding in a TV.
Yeah, well, remember there was that period of time where people just thought that Rotom was a legendary because you had the same kind of encounter as a lot of the legendaries.
Yeah, it's just the only one in the game.
It looks like it should be a legendary, isn't it?
I initially thought it was a legendary, but as I went along with it, because it's far weaker than the legendaries, but still a good Pokemon.
I think it was because Diamond and Pearl just had that weird habit of putting in a lot of legendaries for the sake of legendaries, didn't it? You had Heatran, you had Shaymin, you know these Pokemon that they're just sort of there with no mythology behind them. They're just things that exist.
Gen 3, I think that was the start of point of too many legendaries. I mean, I like the legendaries.
Gen 3?
In Gen 3. I like the legendaries in Gen 3.
They're all good though.
I like them all, yeah, but you do kind of think it's a bit too many. Maybe just shave it down by one or two.
Well, I suppose Gen 3 kind of had the distinction of there were the plot ones, which were Rayquaza, Groudon, and Kyogre. Then you had Deoxys, which has its own sort of backstory.
Fair enough about Deoxys, because it doesn't have a home region technically. It's introduced at that point.
Yeah.
I think Gen 3 should be let off because just all their legendaries are actually interesting. Like, I don't
The
know.
Reggies, they don't really have a backstory until Gen 4 with Regigigas.
True. Though that again is Regigigas is another legendary that Gen 4 just put in there because why not? So the thing with Gen 4, like thinking back, I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, which is saying quite a bit, but like you got the Lake Trio, you got the the main three, Dialga, Palkia, Giratina. So that's 2 trios again, and you've also got fucking Shaman, Heatran,
Manaphy, potentially Fiona, but nobody's really quite sure, not even the Pokemon Company is sure whether that counts as a legendary or not. Yeah, it is banned from tournaments.
Is it banned from tournaments because it's, usable? Is it actually powerful, or is it just there?
It's kind of just there. It's usable, it's okay, it's just nowhere near as good as any other water type, so I think it's just banned because it's related to Manaphy.
Yeah, how is it compared to Manaphy in terms of usability?
Nowhere near as good. Manaphy can learn Tail Glow, which can increase its special attack by 2.5. So it's pretty strong.
Yeah, because I do actually have a legit Manaphy on one of my things, because I remember there was that event, I think it was to do with Pokemon Ranger, if you beat something in Pokemon Ranger. That's a game I want to replay at some point, because I actually did quite enjoy that game. It's been years since I played it, but that game, it kind of had this gimmick where you're Pokemon Ranger and you go around trying to tame wild Pokemon to use to do things for you, essentially. Come on, wild Pokemon, you're my bitches now.
It's a bit like how you summon Pokemon in Gen 6.
Do you mean 7?
7. They're not your Pokemon, but
it's sort of, but there's just wild ones you're temporarily taming rather than the ones who have been trained up for that kind of purpose. But the main gameplay, it's you gotta just keep circling the Pokemon on the touchscreen, and that sounds really easy, but I remember there's this one fucking Charizard later on in the game where he does everything he possibly fucking can to stop getting captured. He'll flamethrower it. I think he tries and fly into it and shit and just try and stop you from being able to link it. And that I don't know whether that was the infamous boss from that game or not, but I remember him in particular. I remember the world being quite interesting. I remember liking the region. I can't remember too much of it now, but I remember at the time I did really think the region was cool because it's another one of these. I think it's either a set of islands or an island. But yeah, it's kind of a fun game. I never did play the sequels to it, which I probably should at some point. But on the topic of DS Pokemon spin-offs, there's one that is a game that I have this weird endearment towards. Do you remember Pokemon Dash?
Not really, no.
It was a launch game for the DS, and the entire gameplay is racing with Pikachu. How do you think you control Pikachu?
Is it with the touchscreen?
Yes, it is with the touchscreen. You keep on tapping him on the touchscreen, sliding your stylus across, essentially pushing him.
Keep going, I don't want to. Go!
And I remember it had all these weird fucking levels. There was this mechanic that if you had one of your other Pokemon games in the GBA slot, you could pull one of your Pokemon from the game and make a level that looks like that Pokemon, and every one of them was terrible. Because it would just look like the sprite of the Pokemon. It wouldn't actually adapt it to make it a decent track. It would be just, it looks like the Pokemon. But yes, we are at Marowak, the main Pokemon of Lavender Town.
First time I encountered this Marowak, I tried catching it.
I think everyone did.
I forgot about the fact that it was dead. I still wanted to catch it.
But I think, admittedly, that is going to be a thing that everyone does initially, purely because at this point of the game, what you're thinking of is it's a fairly decently levelled Pokemon of the ground type, so it's a good ground type to have technically Marowak, but you can't catch it.
You gotta catch them all. I want to catch it.
Where can you encounter Cubone in this game?
As fairly close by to Lavender Town. I know that because I'm pretty sure I've seen it pop up a couple of times in battles.
It probably has, I just can't remember.
Plus the fact that Marowak tells you to go away. It speaks.
Yeah, we just won't question that.
It's the only Pokemon in all of the Pokemon games to speak.
You say as we're fighting Team Rocket's Meowth.
Yeah, but this is different. This Meowth isn't speaking.
But that is Team Rocket's Meowth.
Technically, yes.
Literally, we are fighting Jesse James.
In this game, it doesn't speak, so I'm not counting it. And they have Charbocca.
Yeah, they do have Charbocca now. All their Pokemon have evolved, other than Meowth, obviously.
I'm surprised he was such a high level Meowth. When watching anime, I just assumed he was just like a level 5 or 8 or something. Like,
I've always assumed he's like level 20 or something like that, but then never bothered.
yeah.
Yeah, like, didn't they have like that plot of how he sacrificed usable move slots so he could learn to speak? Like, I think he has Fury Swipes and that's about it.
Fury Swipes, Scratch, and that's it.
I remember there was that one towards the end of Home where he seemed really amazed that this other Meowth could use Thunderbolt. It's like, wow, Meowth can use Thunderbolt? Wait, what?
I know during the segment in Black and White when he turns good for a brief moment, there's an episode where they're constantly stuck in a dream by a Duosin.
Oh, I think I remember that, yeah.
And it's like in the real world, turns out that Duosin is pretty weak, and they end up waking Meowth up by scratching his face up or something like that. And he gets really pissed off and launches at the Duosin and defeats it with Fury Swipes with relative ease.
The fucking funniest episode from that little arc. What's that other cat Pokemon?
Purloin.
Yes, the one where Meowth and what was it, like Oshawott? Like they both developed a crush on this Purloin, and they were chasing after it, and it turned out to be a dude.
Yes.
That was so fucking funny.
Their reality was just shattered after that.
Like, I just think that episode just proved that both of those Pokemon have some kind of repressed shit going on.
I do like it when... I did like it in Black and White when Dawn and Piplup arrived. And then you've got that rivalry between Oshawott and Piplup for the affections of Meloetta.
Oh, that was funny as well.
So there's just one gif that I remember seeing plenty of times where Piplup's gone over to Meloetta's holding his hand and Meloetta's smiling at him. Piplup's just like, yeah, I'm nice. And then turns around, just gives a really smug look to Oshawott.
That's amazing.
Just like, yeah, it's mine.
So the cutest looking Pokemon as well.
That pretty much confirms that Oshawott and Piplup are guys.
Yeah. We kind of already had that going on with like the whole...
Although it's weird because I'm pretty sure Baneri is a girl because she's all... Yeah, she is a girl because she's got a crush on Pikachu.
Mm.
Yeah, whenever during the contests in Diamond and Pearl, it's like Pikachu's dressed up in sort of like that weird robe outfit and he's got those fans and dancing and celebrating for Dawn. And then both Piplup and Baneri are wearing the same cheerleader outfits. Yeah. So it's like, it left me a bit confused. Just like, what are you, Piplup?
Piplup's just trying to find himself. Oh, bless him. But yeah, what is happening here. We just got the Poke Flute, which is pretty essential to get past Snorlax.